Hi everyone, it's Kathy Drew from Gina's Bernina Sewing Center, and today we're going to be working with Bernina's presser foot number 44C, and this foot is called the Echo Quilting foot. What you can do with this foot, actually it has multiple uses. A lot of people use it for thread painting, which is a type of embroidery that we used to always do before we had our embroidery machines. And I'm going to do a monogram for you in a little bit, but you can't laugh at me when I'm doing it. It's been a long time since I've tried it. But primarily it was made for Echo Quilting. And then when Bernina came out with the attachment that they have, the cut work tool, that where it actually will cut fabric utilizing your sewing machine, this is also the presser foot that you would use for that. So you got multiple uses for this presser foot. Now the cut work is something that would be a whole video, so we'll do that for you at a later time. So today though I'm going to concentrate more on quilting with it and also doing a little monogram for you. So let's take a look at the presser foot a little more closely and see about the registration lines that are on there. You have some circular registration lines that will aid you when you're doing your Echo quilting to keep an equal distance apart. And you have one that's very close to the opening of the presser foot where the needle travels. You also have another one that's about 1/8 of an inch or so outside of that. And then of course you can use the outside edge of the presser foot also. You can probably also see that you have some registration lines that will show you where your needle is going to be taking a stitch. So that will help you with lining things up as well. Now I really love using this presser foot when I'm doing any kind of quilting on a loftier bat, you know, that's kind of puffy, and I love it because it will press that loft down flatter around a larger area around the needle, and it makes it much easier to achieve a pretty stitch. Sometimes it can be so lofty that you'll actually skip some stitches. So you're going to find this foot will be great for those lofty battings that you might want to use. The other thing to remember too about the presser foot is that you can adjust the pressure that on the machine and control the height of the foot and the amount of pressure that it's putting on the fabric, and that will make the foot adapt better to no matter what weight of fabric or batting or whatever that you're using. So sometimes if you do experience that skipping stitches or a little more thread breaking than normal, it could very well be that the up and down movement of the needle is actually allowing the fabric to hop up and down, and it causes your thread to fray. So try using the pressure control on your machine for controlling that. One of the wonderful things that I love about sewing on my Bernina 880 Plus is that when I tell the machine what presser foot I'm using, it automatically adjusts everything in the machine for that presser foot. So it gives you a pressure setting. It also will lower the feed dogs automatically for you. So it takes away some of the things that you normally have to remember. You may also notice in this presser foot, and let me lower it a little bit, maybe you can see it a little bit better. Oh, maybe not, maybe better leave it up a little. You'll notice that it has that oval opening in the foot for the needle to travel, which means you can use a zigzag stitch with it. And a lot of people love doing that when they are doing thread painting or free motion embroidery. So having that is another additional feature on this foot. The clear foot gives you more visibility, and it's a great all-round foot that I think every quilter will enjoy having in their collection to help them. So I'm going to slide this away. And what I've prepared to work on is just a little applique. I put us an applique in the center of our fabric, and I'm going to zoom back so that you can see just a little bit better. And you can actually, if you're doing a raw edge applique, we can actually use this presser foot to help us stitch down the applique. The first thing that I want to do always is to bring my thread, my bobbin thread, up to the surface. So I'm going to take one stitch down while I'm holding my needle thread in my hand, and then raise that needle out of the fabric raise the presser foot, and when I gently pull on my needle thread, it will pull a loop of my bobbin thread up for me, which I can grab in my hand. And then I know where they both are, and I'm just going to take a couple of little wiggly stitches here, and I'm going to clip those thread tails and get them out of my way before we get started. Now I don't have any thread tails that I'm going to have to worry about. And I'm going to try to get up here just a little bit closer so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to do a straight stitch around the edge of my applique for a raw edge applique. Now you could engage a zigzag stitch if you wanted to. What you might run into is that on different places of the applique, you may find that it looks more like a straight stitch, and you'll see why when I do that monogram. And so now we put our applique down. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come out and I'm going to use one of the registration lines in the presser foot to help me stitch an equal distance away from the applique. I'm just latting the edge of the fabric right along. Oh, a good thing too is to set your machine for needle down. I forgot to tell you that. That's a great thing to add, so that when you stop. And then I'm just going to continue on up. And I've got a bright red thread on just so you can see how terrible it's going to look. Alrighty, and so we have echo quilted around our heart. If you had wanted to, you could also do just regular free motion quilting. Sometimes just adding that little stitch around there gives it a puff. But just to do some regular, let's go up and let's just echo quilt around some other lines also. You can use those registration lines to help you do all sorts of echo quilting. I'm going to go out a little bit wider away from it this time. And let's just come down and do some other fun stuff. So basically this foot is helping me guide and keep my stitching an even distance away from that previous row of stitching. Go down this way this time, and then up, a little more. And how about if we do a little bit of repeated curves in the background? Ooh, let's come down here and make us another little one, and repeat off of it. Cool. So you can get all kinds of effects using this foot, and then do another one. The only bad thing for me is once I start doing this kind of stuff, I can't quit. I need to find a stopping place. And there's a little bit of echo quilting. I'll zoom back just a little bit so maybe you can see a little bit better. And that's what those registration lines in the foot are going to help you be able to do. They're going to help you actually be able to keep those an equal distance apart. Now I have one lady in one of my classes that couldn't see hers, and so she actually took a was it a microtext, not a microtext, but a micron pen. I can't remember what she used, but she actually made her lines a little bit more visible to the eye. So that's something else that you can try too if you can't see that as well. Now I'm going to take this away, and I have got just a couple pieces of felt that I have put together here for you, and hopefully you can see I've got the letter L. Now, we used to monogram without the use of our embroidery machines, and so I thought I'd show you, how you could do that. I'm going to do 2 runs of stitching, and the first run is going to be a padding stitch. And what I'm going to do is I set my machine for a zigzag, and I think we'll do our first run at a width of 5. And remember now, there is no feed dogs in operation, so there is no stitch length setting for this. And when you're doing 2 runs of stitching, you want that final run to be going in the same direction as if you were writing the letter, so that where they cross over looks correct to your eye. So we're going to start at the end of our letter L to do our first run of stitching. And once again, I'm going to put the presser foot down, and I'm going to take 1 stitch. And that's so that I can bring up my bobbin thread. Okie doke. Got it up. Hold my threads when I start. And here we go. Now if you wanted to, you could, excuse me, you could put a hoop or something to help you guide this with. But I'm just going to go for it. All right, here we go. We're going to do our first run. This run doesn't have to look perfect, so it can also almost be your practice run. It's just adding a little bit of padding to your stitch. Notice how fast I'm sewing, and I'm also moving the fabric slow, so my stitches will be close together. And I'm not turning my fabric at all, because what this will give you are those thinner areas and thicker areas on your lettering. Alright, so we've got our first run of padding done. I'm going to increase my stitch width just a little, so that this time the zigzag penetration points will be on each side of what I've already done. And let me clip this thread tail out of the way before we go any further. I love this foot because of the visibility it gives me to do these kind of things also. And here we go. So I guess I told you guys how old I am, if I'm old enough to remember when we didn't have embroidery machines and we had to do this, you know, the hard way. And I like it because if you miss a place, you can just go right back over it and cover it. Doing free motion embroidery is very forgiving. So I hope I have enough bobbin thread. I didn't check that before I started my video. Alright, I'm going to stop and reposition my hands. Place there, so I'm just going to go right back over it. Alrighty, and there we go. I'll take just a few straight stitches to secure that down. And I'll let you look at my beautiful letter L. And there we go. Alrighty, we did it. We made an L. Perfect. And that, my dears, is a couple of things that you can do with the 44C foot. You won't regret adding it to your stash. And listen, if you have a moment at the end of the video, please be sure and like our page and share it if you would. It would really mean a lot to us if you did. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call us at the shop at 865-966-5941, or you can send us an email at info@ginasbernina.com. As always, check with your local dealer for your presser foot, but if there's anything that we can help you with, don't hesitate to give us a call. Thanks again, everybody. I appreciate you spending this time with me. Be sure to leave me a comment. Appreciate you guys. Bye-bye.